And now, Podtendo presents Side Quest Cinema.
Sentinels were targeting mutants, and they began targeting everyone.
It's going to take all of us.
The X-Men.
Side by side to end this war. Before it ever begins.
The future of the world begins now.
Well, don't hold back.
X-Men Days of Future Past in really 3D and large format theaters. Rated PG-13.
Hey guys, welcome back to reoccurring. Yeah, we just ended a Side Quest Cinema on an X-Men show. Now we're back. We're Podtendo. We do movie reviews on a retro video game podcast for some reason. I don't know why.
Yeah, I think because there's a pop culture thing in our tagline, so
yeah.
We're just like, movies count.
Yeah, they do count. And, I mean, it's kind of like our childhood encapsulation. Some of these movies are big parts of our childhood, so obviously that's why we're talking about them. Plus, they're easier to do than video games, because it's like an hour. Done. Boom. Watch it on two times speed, and Wolverine moves around the screen really fast. So we're listing. I am your co-host, Mick, and I'm joined by
Tyson.
Cool. And we're talking about X-Men Days of Future Past. So we've slagged through some good-ish attempts at comic book movies at the start, and then, oh man, they got bloated and weird in the last couple episodes. But I think we're back, guys. We might be at the climax, the peak of this mountain in terms of quality of X-Men movies. So kind of fun.
At least for the what feels like the main line of the series. It's I was pleasantly surprised.
Cool.
I didn't realize how much I enjoyed this movie because I've been on a bit of a negative kick lately.
Yeah, I knew it was better and I don't know. It exceeded expectations, so not bad. It's not bad. So, vital stats of this fine film. The release date was May 10th, 2014. The budget was $200 to about $205 million. Really needed to be included. So about $200 million. Box office saw $746 million. Wow. Do you think a comic book movie will ever make $1 billion?
Maybe one day.
Maybe one day.
We sure can dream.
It was directed by Bryan Singer, produced by Bryan Singer, Laura Schuler-Donner, Simon Kinberg, and the cast includes Hugh Jackman, James McAvoy, Michael Fassbender, Jennifer Lawrence, Halle Berry, Anna Paquin, Famke Janssen. Pham Bingbing. Oh, okay, yeah. Elliot Page, Peter Dinklage, Sir Ian McKellen, and Sir Patrick Stewart. And I guess at that point you might as well throw in James Marsden and Kelsey Grammer is there at one point, and oh boy, there's a lot of people.
They got the gang together, everybody. They got the gang together. It was fun, to say the least.
Yeah, this was kind of if only they had a set direction for where they wanted to take all these films and were cohesive, but they kind of just for no reason apex and climax these two random X-Men generations together, and I don't know why. And we'll look at the development details here, guys, and I guess just because everything fit and everyone was alive and they said, hey, let's do it, because I don't know, Sir Ian McKellen ever going to get up to be able to is Patrick Stewart ever going to be able to reprise his role of Xavier? I don't know what was going on. I don't know, but maybe as we dive through we'll find out why.
Yeah, well, gotta link it all together somehow, because for some reason it's as a movie, it works in so many ways, and it doesn't work in some other ways. And I think the parts where it doesn't work is the parts where they're trying to stitch in past movies. It's man, if this was a standalone movie, but with just the same actors, it might be the best one ever. But
yeah, there you go. So development details. So in preparation for the film, Kinberg, the writer, studied films about time travel, including Back to the Future, The Terminator, Terminator 2 Judgment Day. Singer originated a philosophy and set of rules in time travel. This doesn't end. Set of rules for time travel in the film, so the story would be plausible and as plausible as possible. stupid sentence that I probably copied right off Wikipedia. Days of Future Past is a storyline in the Marvel comic book, The Uncanny X-Men issues 141 to 142, published in 1981. It deals with a dystopian future in which mutants are incarcerated in internment camps. An adult Kate Pryde transfers her mind into her younger self, the present-day Kitty Pryde, who brings the X-Men to prevent a fatal moment in history that triggers an anti-mutant hysteria. This storyline was the basis of the film. According to Kingbird, as they were writing the script, they thought it would be more sensible for Wolverine to travel between the time periods instead of Kitty Pryde because of his ageless look and ability to heal rapidly. Also, Hugh Jackman?
Yeah, wow. Yeah. I mean, they know what the fans want, and they're like, we just gave him his own solo movies, so let's keep this going.
He should probably be more included. Cable, Bishop, and Rachel Summers were also included for the time travel parts. I think they might do the Cable part actually in Deadpool 2, so that's kind of fun. They announced a 2014 release in 2011. Singer took over the director role in 2012 and brought back most of the team from X-Men 1 and 2. They announced that most of the cast, or the previous cast, would return in this installment. Lady Gaga was announced as the casting of Dazzler. This was later to be revealed as an April Fool's prank. Photography began in April of 2013 and ended in August of that year. Most filming occurred in Montreal, with some shots on set in Washington, D.C. There were 1,311 visual effects produced by 12 studios for this think those are all the fun development details. So no idea why they brought back old guys, but they did.
I think that they were just trying to be cute and try to tie it all together. Like, they even brought back the original team, so of course they were like, oh, let's just get all the versions and smash them into one big old movie, and they won't leave strange cameos everywhere. Yeah, no strange cameos here. But now that we know kind of what the development details looked like of this fun movie, let's look at the plot. Podtendo's terrible plot summary. Cram it down your throats just the way you like it. Sentinels kill the X-Men in the future. Psych! They can travel in time, and they send Wolverine back to the 70s to prevent the dark timeline. He recruits Chuck and Beast, or Charles Xavier. I just didn't want to spell it Xavier, so that's who Chuck is. Don't think too much about it. They break Magneto out of the prison from the Pentagon with help of Quicksilver and head off to Paris. They stop Mystique killing the creator of the Sentinels, but reveal themselves to the world. That's a shame. The 70s part of the show sees a showdown in DC between the X-Men and Magneto with the new Sentinel army, while the future crew tries to hold off the Sentinel attack, which sees a lot of casualties. Mystique stops Magneto and saves the future. As Wolverine dies/passes out in the past, he wakes up to find that everything is better than normal, and Cyclops is alive. Everybody's alive. It's the best ending.
Yeah, they finally he finally did it, guys. Wolverine finally brought Jean Grey back to life.
Yeah. Now he's
now.
Yeah.
Just don't look at the timestamp on this movie at the opening, and then the timestamp on the beginning of Logan, and everything will be all right.
Yeah. Let's not pretend. Let's just pretend everything works, because apparently we stopped paying attention to certain continuity things, but we sure love cramming in reference to every other one. I think that this does a lot of things right and a lot of things wrong.
Okay.
But I don't know. Let's kind of get into the themes, because I'm really itching to get into this review.
Okay, cool. Awesome. I think I hit most of the plot points. If it was confusing, I'll be honest with you. Pretty tired. Brain's not firing all cylinders. But this movie was. The film's major overarching themes: destiny/free will, the unknown enemy, and identity crisis. Oh, okay. Neat. I cut out that thing where I'd talk about the plots, like the beginning, middle, and end. That was pretty good. Maybe themes leave at some point. Really basicing up our classy podcast over here.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Sometimes things come and go, because this is a popcorn movie. It's not like a thinking movie. So the themes are they are what they are. You know what I mean?
Yeah, very, 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 very true. So, first memories. That's a new section we're adding here. So, do you have any first memories of this film?
I think that I don't remember watching this in theaters, but I seem to remember seeing the Quicksilver scene and being very impressed. And I was like, did I do these movies dirty by not giving them a chance? And I remember that was my first memory of kind of like watching this movie. So.
Okay. Cool. So I myself, I know I went on the second weekend after hearing about the Quicksilver scene, and it was just the funniest thing. So I wrote that note, and I was like, I really enjoyed the movie at the time. I was excited to see how it was going to continue, right? Because it leaves you on this cliffhanger, and you're like, ooh, apocalypse, neat, cool. I like where they went with this one. Maybe they could do another storyline pretty well. And then I remembered this story. So the reason we went on the second weekend and not the first weekend was because we went on the first weekend, but we missed the movie. So we queued up in our line. Like I like to go to the theaters at time, or like a little bit after the start time. So if a movie starts at 6, I'll go at like 6:05. I'm gonna miss like the Scotiabank commercial and the car commercial, and I'm gonna miss a couple previews. I'm cool with that. I don't care about what's coming up next. I don't like watching trailers. I'm cool. Just show me the movie. That's what I'm there for. Show me the movie. I'm like Homer Simpson. Just get to the movie. Waited like 20 minutes. I'm like, oh, they must be starting late. Yeah, as theaters do. Theater starts to fill up with like young girls with their moms. And I'm like, Jennifer Lawrence, they just love J-Law. Little girls love J-Law. Then the movie starts, and the previews are like a little bit odd. They're like a little bit kiddie. There's some Disney previews of upcoming things, and then the Disney logo pops up, and then Maleficent starts. And I was like, I see. We're just in the wrong theater altogether. So leave the theater, head up to the counter. We're like, hey, FYI, we went to the wrong movie. And now our movie is like 30 minutes in. And they said, hi, you know what? Here's your money back. Try again next week. And I was like, awesome. Great. So I learned that you can get a refund at the movies.
Yeah, as long as you don't sit through the whole thing.
They say that they have people sit through the whole thing and then argue with them. The guy's like, my job is just to give you your money back independent of this. So he's like, at least yours is kind of a legitimate reason. And I said, oh, awesome. Great. Cool. So stupid.
That's funny.
Yeah, it was a good time.
Well, at least you saw the first scenes of Maleficent.
You know what?
Why is Angelina Jolie in this movie?
You know what? I'm regretting this. I've never seen Maleficent. And I'm like, should I give Maleficent a chance now? Like, it can't be that bad, right? Like, maybe that
first
or like...
one's not bad.
Yeah.
Second one, I seem to remember isn't great, but the first one's not bad.
Okay. All right. Well,
and I have a soft spot for Angelina Jolie. Like, I even like the terrible Tomb Raider movies. So shoot me.
Okay. Well, I'll give it a chance. Maybe I'll give it a chance tonight. I have nothing else going on. I'm batching it tonight. We're gonna watch Maleficent with some chicken fingers. Be a good time. But that's not. We're talking about the review. So, Podtendo review. Do categories. Talk about the show. Boom. Tyson. We got to talk about our favorite parts of this movie. We got to start with a big positive. Tyson, what is your favorite part of this film?
We already mentioned it. I love the ending, but that's just me being a big old softy and them just being like, here's everything you want. But the beginning is really epic, and I really like how that's done.
Yep.
But that Quicksilver scene, just like the way it's done. I'm a very big hater on CGI, as most of our listeners will know, and I think it's done
right
well.
Yeah,
and it's not like it's not obnoxious. It feels fitting. It's one of the few times where mutants get to just be like, "Here's my powers in full showcase." What's your favorite part of the movie?
Hold on. When was Age of Ultron? Okay, so Age of Ultron, who also featured a cinematic appearance by the character Quicksilver, was 2015. So it was next year.
But isn't it early next year?
Still, it's next year, so it comes out after this. The Flash has come out. I haven't seen it, but I heard that there are scenes where he's doing things quickly while everything else is slow, and it's very similar to this. So what I was alluding to was this Quicksilver scene. Yeah, you're right. It is a master class of how you do super speed in movies, and the MCU wasn't able to replicate this ability, to the fact that it actually killed him off, because they're like, well, we've already seen Quicksilver at his peak, so I guess we're not doing that. And then a movie 9 years later uses the exact same tactics to tell their speedster, like, you know, to have their comedic moment with their speedster character and use of his power. So, like, yes, it is definitely, it makes sense that it's your favorite part of this movie because it's kind of iconic and just has, like, lived on, right? So,
Yep. Very well said.
cool. Myself, I like the fight in the future. So there's a future group of X-Men. We have a couple randos. We have some returners, right? We have some people returning to the franchise, and it's very brutal. They have these Sentinels. They can mutate. They're kind of indestructible, and they take out your beloved characters from Storm to that Magneto gets it, right? Like they kill, they rip Colossus apart.
Yeah.
Right? Oh my gosh. Like it is just a
Sunspot gets his arm like ripped off and impaled twice. And I kind of like how each of the kills, it kind of gives you like a glimpse of other kind of mutants that they've obviously killed and used it. Like, I think they kill Sunspot and the claws look very reminiscent of like Lady Deathstrike.
Yep.
I was like,
I think they had Emma Frost's like crystal ability or whatever it was when
diamond ability.
Yeah, during the Sunspot fight. So they have a lot of allusions to just these other films and stuff that we've seen. And it's done incredibly well, and it is like it's brutal. The climax of the Magneto's giving a speech to the world at the time, and he's kind of talking about, you know, like the mutant ascension against the humans, and it's just it's dark and it's brutal and it's really good. I realize they kind of do like a crazy kickflip and they send it like, you know, like, aha, and everything's fine. And you're like, oh my gosh. But like, it gets really brutal and sad and scary, and, you know, and like you feel for these characters you love, and watching Magneto die and bleed out on the ground, or Kitty Pryde, you know, like try and hold on, and it's very, very solid. Or like that, even that final scene where just the Sentinels come and they're standing in front of Professor X right before the time stream kind of like blinks out and like resets. Creepy. It's good. Well played.
And we get two kind of scenes like that. There's like the opening scene, and then there's the big final climax.
It is a bit of a cop out, because you can kill off all your characters, and then, like, especially at the beginning, and you're like, oh my gosh, they killed Iceman. No, psych, he's actually fine because it's 2 weeks in the past.
Yeah, but I like that you still feel it when those characters die.
Yeah.
But yet, like, they found a way to, like, hey, you know, can you cry for Colossus dying twice in a movie? And you're like,
if the second death is more brutal than the first one, then yes.
Yeah. Well, and it usually is. I think that they handle that really well. And as a like from the comics, like they had to almost like they made a big old MacGuffin of like, by the way, we can just clone people, and Professor X can put their brain exactly to where it was. So it's just like wrote out all implications of deaths, but it let them open the door to be like, yeah, but people will die constantly.
Yeah.
So I think this does a better balance of that.
I agree. Cool. So then what's our most notable scene or part of this film? So it's been years, right? It's a 9-year-old film. Yeah, maybe you watched it opening weekend. You did a double header with Maleficent in theaters. Wow, you're a superstar. What's that thing you want to talk about, or like you want to mention with your friends? I kind of think we've already kind of alluded to it. So is it the returning crew in the dark future? Is it Wolverine being kind of super jacked up? The Quicksilver scene? The Paris assassination attempt, Professor X talking to his future self, giving himself a little pep talk. McAvoy and Fassbender, they have a scene on the plane where they're playing chess, and they start to kind of flex that they're like, oh yeah, we're serious actors, by the way. And it's good. And it's riveting. And then Fassbender gets it, and then there's like a nice little conflict and a chat between them at the end. They're such good actors. Like this franchise is blessed for getting to have these characters, right? The death of all the X-Men in the future, that brutal scene we talked about, that climax, that amazing climax, or just seeing the revised future. So what is the most notable part of this movie?
To me, it's all the future stuff.
Okay.
That's like, when I think of this movie, I think of that stuff, even though
it's such a small part.
Yeah, it really is, but it's so, like, it really stands out.
So I did hear that there's something called
striking.
The Rogue Cut. So Rogue is a more important character, and it requires... so apparently that's how the Sentinels have the ability to like get close to Sunspot, and then they can shoot fire. So they have Rogue's ability. and she's captured and being tortured in the X mansion. So at some point, Iceman has to go save her and then bring him back to the monastery, and then she takes Kitty's powers, and then she takes over with sending Logan back in time. So if you wanted more Anna Paquin, if that's the thing you needed, you could have had more future Anna Paquin moments if you watched the road cut of this.
Okay. Well, I just
Does not appeal to you at all? Yeah, me neither. That's weird.
Yeah, well, it just she's taken captive again.
Yep.
Man, poor Rogue. It seems like that's every movie, so I'm kind of glad that they cut it, because it's like I like her appearance in this movie. I'm happy. I'm super happy.
That was it. That's all you needed, was just a quick like, hello, smile, walk away, and I'm like, perfect. you did more in this film than you did in X-Men 2, so
You're like, but I'm so happy.
Except that fucking plane you crashed. So Tyson's going to take that. I think we're just going to flip-flop. I'm going to say the Quicksilver scene. We already alluded to it. It holds up. People were telling me about, have you seen it? It's so funny. It's so well done. Excellent use of speed power. Okay, let's get a little bit negative, though. This was tough. This was a tough one, though. What's our least favorite part of this movie? What's your least favorite part?
I think sometimes it's just like the logic. Like Nixon's never heard of a mutant, that kind of thing. All it's like I kind of don't buy that, wherein everybody else seems to be like, there's people in this room that are all very, those are mutants. Yeah, definitely mutant. Blah, 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 blah. It's like, and for him to be the president and have like zero recollection to that, and then there's sometimes like Magneto's plan at the end where it's like, if he just didn't take it too far, he really could have like solve the problem himself, because that he just sneakily is like, by the way, I'm gonna put a bunch of railway tracks in all like metal all up in these like sentinels, and that's gonna be my ace in the hole. And then there's one that's running around while the other like 9 are just like standing guard, not shooting at anybody.
There's some flaws. I think this should have been, and actually definitely should have been, the end of this trilogy. So they missed the second part, right? I think it's kind of the killing of so many mutants off screen, right? So all the mutants from First Class are basically gone, minus a quick Alex Summer appearance at the beginning, right? They're like, he was in Vietnam, he's fine, but everyone else is dead. So you spent a whole movie building up a team, right? We like
everybody.
We met like a banshee, we like met like this angel girl, dead. Rose Byrne, never even heard of her. Definitely not here. I think she's alive, but like, it's one of those things. So you introduce all these characters, then there's all dead, and then
everybody dies.
Say what you want about January Jones, but like having the white, like the White Queen, having what's her name?
Emma Frost.
I was going to call her Scarlet, and I like had Scarlet in my head, and I was like, that's wrong. Emma Frost, like
Azazel, everybody that went with Magneto from the past movie died.
So your whole team of villains that you were working on just don't exist.
Yeah.
And now in your third part of your series, you have to like reintroduce a whole new X-Men team. So your third movie now becomes an introduction of characters, which is, I'm sure nothing bad will come of this. So the fact they couldn't have just been like, the rest of my team is in prison. Oh, sorry, Magneto, we don't have time to rescue all of them. He's like, but they could be very helpful. And he's like, yes, but I don't believe, like they're in the right cause. And you say, okay, cool. And then guess what? You can open up any door in the next movie, and like January Jones steps out. We're like, okay, good, awesome. I already know who this character is. Let's keep rocking, right? Yeah. So,
well, I think you didn't need to kill everybody.
Yeah, just say they're not here. Banshee, I don't know. He's in Ireland.
Like you could have just been like, here's Azazel and Angel, like the characters we kind of like shoehorned into this movie, and like the Riptide, like characters that aren't fan favorites or aren't like they're like, you could have killed them off, but I think it adds the stakes, and it makes Magneto's next action like I'm not gonna lie, I'm watching this and I'm like, yeah, Magneto's kind of got the right plan here, but then he just takes it a little too far.
Yeah.
And I think that it's definitely like there's a bit of unevenness to it, and that's like the problems of these movies is the baggage of previous movies. If this is just a standalone movie, then I don't care. You could have any names on that list.
So this movie became like the problem with the originals was the baggage that people were bringing into them. Like, that's not Rogue. Rogue's Superman. What the heck? She can't just be a girl. That's dumb. And people were hating on these films. And then these films started to be like, okay, well, we have to stay so close to the continuity of that people hate. And they start doing this weird spiral where they start almost like they become self-referential. And then all of a sudden all the baggage from the current films are now like the worst part. So it's super bizarre. It's super bizarre production and just like layout of these films. But like, yeah, again, just don't kill off everybody. Just be like, oh yeah, I don't know where those guys are. They're AWOL. We have 2 days to stop the Paris thing in the DC. Like, it happens over 2 days. I understand why you couldn't go find Banshee in that time. Like, I'm okay with that. Yeah.
Or you're like, Banshee doesn't seem crucial to our plan at this moment.
Well, and then at the end of the film, like, Magneto's giving this impassioned plea to the population, and he says, "Do not hide, brothers." And you see Toad, who was one of the characters from Vietnam, watching the television, and I'm like, that could have been like a character we already knew. Right?
Yeah. Well, or the girl with a tattoo eye, whoever that is.
No one. It's nobody, right?
It's like that. Guess who that could have been if you didn't just randomly kill off characters.
Yeah. Anyways, so it's a criticism. So you have a criticism of this film?
Why don't you go first?
I like this movie. Like, my criticism, I was like, I sat here, I was like, I don't know, I guess maybe the fact Wolverine is used, like, I get it, and it's definitely the cleanest way to tell the story, right? Like, Hugh Jackman is definitely alive in both timelines. As a third conclusion, cool, great. And like, Kitty Pryde wouldn't make sense because she wasn't alive in the 70s, so you kind of have to like, okay, I guess that makes sense. Maybe more Bishop, right? But Wolverine kind of doesn't do anything either. Like, he goes back in time and gets the ball rolling, and then he's just like an ancillary character who's just standing there. Like, he just stands at a lot of scenes and doesn't really.
Yeah.
Actually, he literally may not do anything when he goes back in time.
But the funny thing is, he kind of admits that.
Yeah.
When he's talking to Xavier, he's like, "Hey, it was supposed to be you. Mm-hmm. I'm just someone physically capable of being here, so here I am."
It's like,
and it's like,
yeah, and like, I was just like, I don't know how you criticize this film. It's so ambitious, it's so big, it's a little uneven, but in terms of the other X-Men movies that we've got, especially recently, since like maybe even the second one, have been absolute just garbage, junk. Yeah. This is a quality movie.
And it's like, the villains of the movie, you understand their motivation.
Yeah.
Like, everybody's motivation, you just understand it. Like, it's like, sometimes the dialogue, maybe, but it's, I don't know. It's lots to like, mm-hmm. and a few just things to nitpick, really.
Like, that's literally, like, anything I say bad about this film is just a little nitpick, right? But in terms of what we were getting, and we'll get into it later, like the MCU, we'll get into that at some point. Maybe even bring that in now. Here, we can just spoil it. So the other MCU movies was, I believe, in April, so like a month before this, Captain America: The Winter Soldier came out, which is cited as one of the better MCU movies, as well as, I think, later this summer, like July, August, we got Guardians of the Galaxy. So those are two really good MCU movies. They've held up for the last 10 years. People still will put them in their top 5. Like, you ask people what their top 5 MCU movies are, sometimes it's still Winter Soldier, Galaxy will still be brought up there. So the fact that this movie came out like next to two of the biggest comic book movies ever, this should have been hands down. Like, imagine if this came out with like Doctor Strange and, I don't know, like Ant-Man or something, right? This would have blown those movies away. You've been like, wow, X-Men movies are better than the MCU right now. So it's I don't know. It's just funny, sad. I don't know where I was going with that point.
Well, I think it's just like, for X-Men to really be kind of like waffling in the water, mm-hmm. and then to just magically strike it, knock it out of the park the same time the MCU is currently just like pumping
Crushing
out
it.
some of their
It was just
top tier stuff, and you're like, I don't know. I like, being an X-Men fan, you're like, obviously I'm gonna be a little bit more biased, mm-hmm. but it's like, I really like this movie.
Yeah.
I could watch this movie again. And there's times where, I'm not gonna lie, I was freeze framing certain parts because I had to, like, there's an autopsy scene where you find out how everybody dies, and I think those little details just really make this movie tight.
Yeah.
And I love like even Beast's and Wolverine's interactions to a point where like just like what does he do, like punch him right off the bat, and just like, okay, who is this maniac? And then they get into like a whole like big old scrap and they're just buddies after it. It's like, I love how that's just how they get it. Wolverine walks into Beast's life and just like punches him in the face. So yeah, I don't know, there's so many like
it's
really
hard.
incredible things.
So that's pretty good when you're our criticism. Like we've criticized Star Wars, we've criticized Back to the Future, we've criticized other stories, and the fact they told a time travel movie. You know how terrible some time travel movies are, and this one just gets it. And like we're sitting here for criticism, and I wrote down literally like, we need more Bishop. That's the worst thing in this movie, is we don't get more of this weird character that no one probably the general public doesn't know about, right? So into a final praise. That's great. This movie is incredible compared to the rest of the films in the series. It's head and shoulders above it. It's definitely hands down the best X-Men movie. I knew it was on top of my list, and I probably would have been like, X-Men 2 is pretty good. But this is so much better. This is just like leaps and bounds, and it's such a bigger project. And like, I kept expecting the bad part, and then the movie was just over. And I was like, how is there no bad parts? How is there no downtime? How is there nothing that I'm like, oh, this part, ugh. It's always fun. It's always entertaining. It's always interesting. It's great. It's really good. I don't know. Like, what's your final praise?
This movie did something that I most X-Men material, comics, books, like movies, TV shows, has a really hard time getting across the Professor X Magneto dynamic and why they are like best friends, but they also are just like so fundamentally different on few things. And I went through a roller coaster on this one of being like, yep, Professor X is still a piece of shit, and then being like, well, I kind of get it. Like, he wanted out. He has a really painful power. It's not fun listening to everybody's issues.
Yeah, exactly.
And his whole story arc throughout this of being like a spoiled brat wallowing in his own self-pity, and Beast just being a buddy to try to help him out. And it's just like, he kind of gets this rude wake-up call, and then he finally puts, and I think the him like basically about to shoot up scene, like it's essentially it's like him getting lost in drugs, and it's like
it's exactly what that allegory is. It's
facing his true self, and actually, like, instead of just wallowing and being lost in a needle, it's like, no, you need to stand up for what you believe in. And because he does that, it's like the world actually works. The world isn't so bleak in the future because he teaches mankind that not to fear us. We aren't the enemy. And currently, like, and Magneto, who's justified, who's like, all my friends died. Every one of my friends got literally tortured and mutilated and experimented on. They're dead. So I'm miserable about it. And it is heavily implied that, so were some of the students. And that's why Professor X is so messed up. So we're dropped into this world where, like, our two heroes from the past movie that had such a bright future are now like, no, everything freaking sucks. Everything has gone to shit. We've lost so many friends in this war that's literally just like out of our control. I don't even want to fight it anymore. I don't even see the point to, like, it's really well done. Most things never nail that dynamic of like, here's your hero and your villain story, and both of them have believable motivations, and you understand why their characters are driving them and making them do the decisions that they're doing.
Well, the fact that we look at like Hugh Jackman in this movie and say he's like the simpleton of the actors, like his performance is like the lamest. Hugh Jackman, that guy is incredible. He can sing, he can dance, he's funny, he's in great shape, he can do action.
He has a great couple scenes.
He's like, Prestige is one of my favorite movies of all time. I think his character, like, he's awesome in that movie, right? Like, anything, like, even like The Greatest Showman. If you ever watched The Greatest Showman, you'd watch it and be like, Hugh Jackman is an entertaining motherfucker. Like, man, him and like Les Mis, he does all these incredible performances. And then we sit here, we're like, McAvoy and Fassbender, like, make him look like he's in a different league in this film. And you're like, well, part of it is like, Wolverine's kind of a lame character. He doesn't get a lot to do. But yeah, like, I'm thinking... there's a couple scenes, yeah, like specifically like McAvoy, Fassbender. They have the scene, the chess scene, the ending, and then McAvoy talking to Stewart, right, to get his pep talk in the middle. Like just the emotion that he has on his face. He feels so bad for the guy the whole film. Like he's just in so much pain, and yeah, like he is weirdly the main character, even though Wolverine is. It's awesome.
Yeah,
it's
but also at times Magneto seems to be like the narrative main character, and it just works. It just works.
It's not messy. It makes sense. It's just
and
it shouldn't, but it does.
It does this like a weird thing where it has so many moving characters, and I think only like maybe comic book movies can kind of do that.
Jennifer Lawrence is a really good actor too. We're not even talking, or actress, sorry, we're not even talking about her. And like she does pretty well in this film. Like she has a lot going on. She has a lot to do, and like it's incredible performances. Like this is weirdly for 2014.
Even Christopher Holt as Beast, like he has his like moments to show up. The only person who hits flat maybe is Halle Berry as Storm.
Even in this one, I'm like, Halle Berry might be her best performance of Storm is definitely in this film. So
yeah,
she doesn't do much, but yeah, like, oh my goodness, it's just like the amount of heavyweight actors that are in this film, like A-list stars, performances.
And now that we've kind of got to the end of the review, it's like that ending.
Oh,
what are your thoughts on the ending? I absolutely love it. Like it is that it's a clean, fresh break. They wrapped up all the bows. Here's a fresh start. Here's those characters from the previous movies. And
Cyclops is back. Jean is back. We see Kelsey Grammer return, right? Like you get the Bobby or the Iceman and Kitty Pryde. They finally get to be a couple, right? Rogue Iceman, and then you see Kitty Pryde standing next to Colossus, alluding to like their relationship from the comics, right? Like it is the best timeline.
Yep.
It is so good and so clean. My only negative that I can say about it is it's not the ending of the story.
Yes. Yeah. And I think that like
they should have done a second. This should have been the third, and then give Hugh Jackman his send off with Logan. And like all the other fat stuff we just cut and we don't talk about and we move on with our lives. But they make lots of money. It's a franchise. What are you going to do?
Yeah. But this is such an opportunity for a clean break. Just let it go. Mm-hmm. Like this timelines, these stories, these characters are all neatly wrapped up.
They did it. They nailed it.
Yep. Oh. Like what movie actually nails the ending? Like they absolutely crushed it. I was like, wait, what? Like everything's back to normal. Everything's good to go. And it has that moment of like Professor X and Wolverine. It's like, hey, you're back. Mm-hmm. He's been waiting for this moment since first day he met him. It's like so well done.
Oh, it is. It is. Yeah, well excellent. We get to sleep easy, knowing that at some point we do. Logan is also really good. So the fact that like we do get to come back and gush a little bit, there's just maybe some sludge coming up. But this movie, oh boy. It is excellent. So that kind of ends the review. Anything we missed? Is there something we didn't like touch on? He moves a stadium at some point. That's kind of neat. That probably dismantling that and like cleaning that mess up probably takes a while, especially outside the White House.
Oh my goodness, I feel sorry for the janitor. I guess we didn't really talk about the end credit scene of the hinting of. We kind of mentioned it actually of Apocalypse. Obviously, that's the next movie we get, and the Four Horsemen just like chilling behind.
When I saw that after seeing this film, and you see that, you're like, oh my gosh, they're gonna do Apocalypse legitimate. Like they're gonna make him a big I'm in. Like comic book, TV series, Apocalypse coming back, messing with the X-Men. They have to team up. Like let's go. This is gonna be incredible. They can't screw it up, can they?
Yep. And we got the whole team back together. It's literally set for success.
I don't think so, Tim. Are you buying it? So this movie makes Logan happen. So they get the ending, like I alluded to, it's all happy, everyone's back. And then Logan happens 6 years later. So he wakes up and he's dead within 6 years. Is that how that works?
Is that how that works? Logan's in 2020 or 2030?
Yeah, I think so. And this takes place in like 2024.
Oh, so random. I don't understand why they didn't just add but Professor X still has to be alive, so they kind of have to limit it that way.
Yeah.
But still, Yeah, I don't know, but Logan seems like it's a kind of a one-off. Again, if they just didn't put dates on stuff and it was just like a one-off kind of
20XX.
standalone story.
Just listen to Mega Man 20XX.
Yeah. In the year 2029.
Or don't put a date on it. Just say in the future. That time.
Yeah.
Okay, cool, awesome.
But sorry, I'm on the Wikipedia for Logan. And yeah, and you're right. It's like 2029. So is that 3 years from the future of the ending of 6 years from the ending? Like it's in the bad timeline.
No,
that's 2023.
Dystopian. So he wakes up in the future, and I'm guessing like his brain comes back and it's 20. Oh, you think maybe it's not 2023?
2023. I think that he wakes up and it's like 2020. So X2 hasn't even happened.
Oh, I see. Or like, interesting. See, I took it as he woke up in 2023. Right. Okay. But maybe he did wake up around like 2010 or something. I don't know. That was
yeah. I think there's like a little bit of time there.
Yeah, just don't.
Still, it's
fine. Logan is a happy ending too, so don't even worry about it if you haven't seen it. That's it. So that ends our review. We're done talking about it. Yay, hurrah! We're gonna have a final Wayback Machine. See what the world looked like back then. We got a little bit of X-Men ranking. That's it. Nice, short, sweet, just the way we like it. So, jumping into our patented Wayback Machine. I don't know if it'll be as effective as the time travel in this movie. We'll find out. May 23rd, 2014. What's your favorite show? Tyson doesn't get to choose. I literally just tell him about The Simpsons. So on The Simpsons, which is his favorite show apparently, it's season 25, episode 22, The Yellow Badge of Courage. Bart wins a race around the school, and Homer tries to bring back the town's fireworks show.
Sounds like hilarity might ensue.
I hope so. I sure hope so. Top TV shows you could also be watching at the start of this year were Rain, Peaky Blinders, The Fall, Banshee, and The Carrie Diaries.
Okay, interesting. So this must be Peaky Blinders.
Just starting. Top cartoons, though, that started this year are Paw Patrol, Teen Titan Go, Rick and Morty, and Steven Universe.
That's what everybody's watching.
Yeah.
Okay.
Top movies. So nothing opened up against this movie. Well, that's some respect, I guess. You're like, all right, it's going to be a big one. Get out of the way. Still in theaters, though, you could see Godzilla, Neighbors, The Other Woman, Transcendent, The Amazing Spider-Man 2. Really? You went from The Amazing Spider-Man 2 and you're like, that's kind of lame, to this. You'd be like, what is Sony doing?
Please let anyone else make Spider-Man movies.
Oh my gosh, it was so bad compared to this. And if you waited a week or two, you could see The Edge of Tomorrow. Great film. Maleficent, A Million Ways to Die in the West, The Fault in Our Stars, 22 Jump Street, and How to Train Your Dragon 2.
Okay.
Or maybe it's 23 Jump Street. Maybe it's 23. It's a sequel.
No, it's 21 Jump Street, so this would be 22 Jump Street.
It is. Okay.
Interesting. Wow. So because Million Ways to Die in the West just dropped on Netflix, right?
I have no idea.
Yes. Yeah, I think I went straight to Netflix or whatever. A couple interesting movies, like Edge of Tomorrow is pretty decent. Pretty decent.
If you haven't seen The Edge of Tomorrow for a while, it is amazing. We watched it like a week or two ago. Top notch. Like, phenomenal.
It does Groundhog Day right.
Oh, it is so good and like so fun. It's just such good action. It's solid. And the fact that we got like back-to-back time travel stories, it's amazing. It's great.
Yeah, and they were both different they were fresh takes.
Yeah. Well, technically one was just you called the one Groundhog's Day, so it wasn't
I mean, but like they were separate from each other. They weren't like kind of like both like, oh hey, somebody travels back in time.
Oh yeah.
They weren't both doing that. They were like one was a time loop and one was an actual
time
travel back in time.
Okay.
I just want to point out, like, I wish this Godzilla movie had better lighting. It has that Alien vs. Predator issue where everything's just in shadows and you just can't tell anything that's happening, even if it's like you blow out all the brightness, so it's like super washed out. You still can't tell anything.
I did see the Godzilla movie in theaters when you have sound, like a good sound system, and it shakes your seat. It's pretty good. It was bad. My problem with that movie was Aaron Taylor Johnson was like in every scene. And I was like,
Oh, yeah.
we couldn't have just like picked up a new, like, you know what I mean? Like have little vignettes with different characters. And like Godzilla's like he goes to Hawaii and then he attacks. And he goes to his base and attacks. And then it's like, this and attacks. And I'm like, why couldn't it have just been like different people? Because I didn't care about Aaron Taylor Johnson. Weirdly enough, becomes Quicksilver in the MCU. Boom. Mind blown? I hope so.
Well, and then gets completely written out of it because it's like, well, X-Men did it better. Sorry,
then,
Aaron Taylor Johnson.
What's his face? Peters. What's Quicksilver's actor's name? Something Peters.
I have no idea. I just know he's from American Horror Story.
So he also had
he's the best part.
He also had a cameo in WandaVision where he plays Quicksilver.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
It's very interesting.
It's a TV. Look, it's a TV show about a TV show.
Yeah. Okay. It happens.
About a character who creates universes.
Yeah. All right.
I'm happy that they added it.
Yeah. Top video games released this month. So in May of 2014 was Kirby Triple Deluxe, Mario Golf World Tour for the 3DS, God of War Collection on the PS Vita. PS Vita. MLB 14, The Show, The Amazing Spider-Man 2, Mario Kart 8, and Watch Dogs.
Wait, Mario Kart 8. Is that not the same Mario Kart that we're on now? Yep, sure is.
Yes, but it was
it
the
was
first
on the Wii
release
U.
for the Wii U. Evan Peters is his name. Evan Peters.
Got you. Well, video games are kind of lackluster.
Is there a Mario Kart? When's Mario Kart 9 coming out?
No idea.
Is there ever going to be one?
They're making enough money on Mario Kart 8 reselling it, so why make another one?
Spring of 2025. Cool.
I see 2024, but it's I doubt that that's happening. I'm just excited for Mario RPG. Come on, let's get excited, everybody.
Is it coming back?
Yeah, they're doing a remake.
Okay, cool. Top 3 songs. Oh, I should probably pull my phone out for this bad boy. Excuse me while I whip this out. The number 3 song according to the Billboard charts for May 23rd. 23rd, 2014. See that silence? Gets cut right out. You didn't even know I made a mistake. Number 3 was When I Was Your Man by Bruno Mars. I often forget Bruno Mars is a guy. I don't think I've ever heard a Bruno Mars song I don't like, though.
Yeah, the Lazy song's kind of repetitive in my opinion.
Okay. The number 2 song was Just Give Me a Reason by Pink.
Just give me a reason, just a little bit's enough. Just a second, we're not broken, just bends, and we can learn to love again. It's in the stars, it's been written.
Well, something's going on my running playlist later.
Pink pumps out some bangers every now and then.
Yeah, it's not bad. It's a good one. It's a good beat. She's got a good ear for that music. So there we go. Does the number 1 song also have a piano in it? Because the last 2 kind of did. Is Can't Hold Us by Macklemore. Money. There we go. So, we're hitting at one point, I think we were done talking about the movie. It was like 25 minutes, and now we're going to be 50 minutes. So what did we talk about for 25 minutes?
I think we just gushed about the ending, to be honest.
Cool.
We did went on a couple tangents, but...
All right, so there you go. So now you remember, maybe you were alive back then, and you're like, oh yeah, then. Okay, neat, cool, awesome. What about... Before we leave here, guys, we got to know what's going on to the other X-Men properties. Now that you know what the pop cultural landscape is, let's look at the comics. So we already looked at the MCU. We know Captain America, Winter Soldier, Guardians of the Galaxy is in the same little chunk of time. Oh boy, those are some bangers. That's a triple-headed monster right there. That's the best, right? That's the best 3 comic book movies that were released in short succession, right?
Yeah, heck of a year. Probably I think that's arguably one of the best years for superhero movies.
Maybe what came out around Into the Spider-Verse. You know what I mean? Maybe
that's 2018.
But maybe that you could maybe argue if it's Into the Spider-Verse with Endgame or Infinity War and something else, right? You could be like, okay, those are, I guess.
Yeah, or a couple of TV shows mixed in there.
Yeah.
This was early days, and for it to hit the ground running.
Yeah.
This year, kick started all like the superhero craze for sure. So I don't think the X-Men movies were like a big always, or like they always like existed, but they were never like a big thing. So to come out and like crush it, and Guardians of the Galaxy was like, will this do good? And it just absolutely crushed it. And like Winter Soldier was like, how do you follow up the first one?
Ooh, I don't know.
And it just nailed the sequel. So
depending when
what do we got?
Into the Spider-Verse comes out, we get Black Panther in February 2018,
Yeah,
Infinity
I was thinking that
War
would come out.
of April of 2018. So then if technically Ant-Man and Wasp is July, but if like Into the Spider-Verse is like June, Black Panther, Infinity War, Into the Spider-Verse is probably the title holder for like 3 best consecutive comic book.
Yeah, yeah, that's a heck of a run for
Yeah.
sure. It's I would say this is in there, but yeah, that's 2018 might be like they might be duking it out to see who's reigning
And
champ.
Ant-Man and Wasp also is delightful. We've done like rewatches of like watching all the MCU movies, and like you start getting burnt out, and then you watch. It just always makes me smile. I just love that movie. It's so good. Anyways, Tyson, what's going on in the X-Men comics at this time?
In 2014, we got Wolverine and the X-Men #4, published May 21, 2014. Subtitled Tomorrow Never Learns, Part 3. Storm, Idol, and the kids make a stand against Phoenix Corporation while Wolverine clings to life. Meanwhile, Quentin Quire, on the run, finds a new ally in Cyclops. This is essentially like reboot of the school, but I think Professor X isn't there, like Wolverine, and is in charge, which is interesting. I believe I missed comics last week.
Yes. Yeah, I don't think for the Wolverine we had any.
Yeah, so that was 2013, and that's X-Men #3, published July 31, 2013. The X-Men find out that, or what Akria is capable of. The phrase of rampaging horde comes to mind, or the phrase rampaging horde comes to mind. Can Akria be defeated? Can the X-Men take down one of their own? If that's what it takes. Meanwhile, what's up with Sublime and Rachel? What's up with Bling and Cypher? What's up with Jubilee and Bling? So I feel like there's a lot of love triangles going on.
Cool.
And that's literally like somebody who wrote for Marvel wrote what's up with Jubilee, what's up with Bling, all in multiple sentences in a row. So not the greatest synopsis, but that's what's going on.
Great.
So love triangles and high school angst.
Sweet. Cool. All right. So we're back into the high school angle while we travel through time. Awesome. And then finally, our cultural significance. As we end the show, we're doing a ranking of all the X-Men and mutants through these films. So we rank them on a 5-point scale. So the number 1 ranked guy gets 5 points. The number 5 ranked guy gets 1 point. And if you are in this film, your average drops. So unfortunately, this is an average dropper of a film. There's a lot of guys out there that were hitting some pretty high percentage. Like Beast, man, you were killing it. You were crushing it, buddy. You were hitting like 3.5, but we got to dock you. You didn't. I don't know if you don't hit the rankings here, it might be a tough one. So a lot of mutants to choose from. A lot more than the Wolverine when we were ranking.
Yep, I think there was exactly 5.
I think, yeah, Jean Grey, who was in like a Flash.
No, there was 6.
Yeah, like
7. Yeah,
Magneto got points because he was in the end scene. So all right, so 5 guys. Tyson, who is your 5th mutant? Who gets 1 point this week? Who's your number 5?
I think I got to go with Quicksilver. One of the most iconic scenes that I've seen in a superhero movie. Very good, and just for that fact alone, he's funny, he's clever. I think he's like his powers epic. So that number 5.
And they showed it visually perfectly. For myself, I'm going to put Blink. She makes teleports, and oh my god, she might be the most cute, gorgeous creature girl I've ever seen in my entire life. I'm in love with her. I was sad when she died. I knew it was coming. But like I was secretly hoping maybe she didn't die in the future, because like, whoo boy, that whatever that look that she has, that's it. That does it for me. Her and like Emily Blunt in The Day After Tomorrow. If I could be alone in a time capsule with them forever, I'd be a happy boy.
Yeah, that's a good place to be. Yeah, Blink's pretty cool. She's got a very fun like throws portals power.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, she basically is Portal, the video game. There's one point where she has like Colossus build up a bunch of thing, and I was like, oh my god, she's just doing Portal. Cool. Who's your number 4 and gets 2 points?
I got Mystique.
All right.
Jennifer Lawrence didn't seem very interested in the last movies, and this movie seems to be like, oh no, I'm still a hell of an actress who will crush like in scenes when I need to be, when I need to show up, and I think she does a great job.
Nice, awesome. For myself, I have the man, the myth, the legend, Wolverine. He just stands there in a lot of scenes, and he like has a freak out, and he like cuts Kitty Pryde. What are you doing, buddy?
Yeah. I actually have him as my third.
Okay. All right.
He you're right. He does kind of stand there for a bit. I do like that he even acknowledges it though, where it's like, I wasn't the person that was supposed to be the one to come back. It had to be me because I was the only one that can survive it. It's supposed to be you. So he kind of admits it, like he's like kind of useless in this situation where it's like, had it just been you, Charles, like this wouldn't be an issue. You would solve this in a day, but because it's me, here we are.
There you go. Awesome. For myself, it's a tough one. What do I want to do? I think I want to go best use of powers. I think I'm going to put Magneto at 3. He dropped off my list. Magneto. I love Fassbender's performance. He's been my dog. I've called him out. I've supported him. I've like read the Fassbender flag. I've got the War Boys out. We've got the guy on the guitar. The flames are shooting at our truck. But I think the bandwagon's slowing down this week. I think Magneto only made it to 3rd. We've seen his powers before. He didn't do anything really that right. Anything particularly cool. So at number 2...
The bullet curving's kind of like interesting.
Yeah, but like my number 2 can like run faster than bullets and push them around if he wants. Because at number 2, I have Quicksilver. I think he definitely stepped up his game, right? That scene, like we talked about, best part of the movie. So that alone, the fact that they articulated what a speedster would look like and what life would look like for a speedster, kind of running at that supersonic speed, incredibly done. So that's why he's getting 4 points from me.
That's fair. I have Magneto as my number 2.
Right.
He's like, I mean, he has some. I understand his motivation, and Michael Fassbender does a great job, and I think that their argument, even on the plane, where he's like listing off everybody's that he's lost, you're like, yeah, you get why he's so pissed off at the humans, because, and I think he does a really good job, but sometimes you're just like, just think for 4 seconds, why are you being so unreasonable? And I think that and just kind of just doesn't nail it.
And then number 1, who do you have at number 1?
I got Professor X.
Yeah, Professor X.
This is his story.
It
right?
is. Oh, McAvoy just brings it. Like he's dealing with, like Tyson alluded to, basically equates to a drug addiction. He goes in and out. His painful performance. He kind of saves the day. We get the double dose of Patrick Stewart kind of being the mentor for him, and like just talking about all the joy that he brings to the world. And it's just such a charming and good, positive experience. It's great. You got to give props to Professor.
Yeah, and a character I don't always like makes me understand him.
He is so overpowered. They literally, I guess he kind of has like the I lost my power thing. I need to regain it. But you know what I mean? Like he's so powerful, they nerf him in X-Men 2 because they're like,
and I think they have to hamper him. Yeah. Like he has to be like, I don't have all my power yet, because he can just be like, just put her out.
Yeah, he'd be like, oh yeah, you know what? Like we think what like people think God is. That's me. Wham! And he's in everyone's head, and you're like, I see. Cool, awesome.
Yeah. And it's like Magneto has to manipulate metal to like stop people. Like he can stop Wolverine in his tracks, and that was an amazing scene from the first movie. But like Professor X can just do that.
Yeah. So cool.
To like anybody.
So credit to Charles, Chuck, the man in the chair. Yeah. Kicking ass, taking names. Got a lovely head of hair in this movie.
I would have never, when we started this, I would have never said, I think that my favorite mutant and my favorite X-Men movie is Professor X. I would have not said that.
Yeah.
So
Come a long way. So that ends this episode. We took a little bit of a break just because we threw a bunch of stuff at you with Tears of the Kingdom, and we had like Banjo last month. So this month, a little faster. Next week, we've got our game coming out. And then I think it's a break, and then we're back with X-Men. So still clipping along. Hope you guys are enjoying the summer, and see you guys next week.
see you.
Bye.